come to the studio now. Now, let's do some other stuff. Now, despite the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, being the foremost national science and technology institution mandated to carry out scientific and technological research for national development, government has not been forthright to meet the funding needs of the Council, making the operations of the Council more difficult. In a bid to bridge the funding gap, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, they've initiated an endowment fund to raise an amount of $20 million within the next 5 years. Staff members have committed to contribute 1% of their monthly salaries for the next 5 years towards the initiative. Chairman of the Fund Planning Committee of the CSIR, Professor Mike Osei Atwenebuana, and Director General of the CSIR, Professor Paul Bosu, joins me in the studio as we go into this matter more. Prof and Doctor, you're welcome. All right, so I mean, if you are raising funds on your own, then the situation must be very bad.
Well, I wouldn't say that the situation is very bad, but there's a need to do that because, of course, our salaries are paid. We get goods and services here and there, but there's far more that we can do than what we are getting now. So we really need that extra push to get us to do a lot of things that we have been established to do.
Right. So, I mean, help us to understand what exactly the center, what role do you play when we say research? What kind of research do you get yourself involved in?
Okay, so we carry out scientific research in order to develop technologies. And these are normally driven research that is being done. So once we are able to carry out this research, we will develop technologies. And the technologies are needed for the socio-economic development of the country. For instance, you have industry that need technology to drive most of the operations. You need small and medium-scale enterprise that need technologies to develop, to push their businesses. And one of our major duty is to carry out this research, develop technology to support the socio-economic development of the country.
And can you take us through some of the works you've done that has helped in national development?
Okay, for instance, in terms of, let me give you the easiest that you can compare with. For instance, in terms of crops, we have what we call it, agricultural research. So in most of our development of technologies, it is in the area of agricultural research, in the area of environment, in the area of industry. So if you take agri, for instance, there's a lot of seeds that we see that we plant, maize, cassava, and most of these were actually developed by CSIR, by seed production. And then when you come to, in terms of food, there's a lot of processing of food that we have done. I'm sure you've heard something of need for food.
Right.
Yeah, it's CSIR that started the prototype for the development of these food. And then we train people. So there are a lot of people who have been trained by CSIR in order to establish their own businesses to carry them out. So these are some of the important things that we have done.
So, Prof, purely in the agri-sector that your work is mostly focused?
No, we have 13 research institutes. Let me say about 8 of them are agri-based largely. But even with food research, which we would not classify as agri, but what they do, the processing, the preservation. But we also have the Building and Road Research Institute, where we are looking at the promotion of local materials for construction. So Building and Road Research Institute, we are famous there for the production of what we call the pozzolana cement. We are been researching into different types of cement production from local materials, bent clay bricks and all that. We have also the Industrial Research Institute, where we've done some designing and fabrication of some of the, if you like, the appropriate technology tools and equipment like oil palm shell, nut cracker, and all those things. So it's not only in agriculture, it's not even only in environment. But in environment, he is the director of CSIR, Water Research Institute. So we are into water quality analysis, all this thing about water pollution. We are there. At the Forestry Research Institute, we are into tree seed, carbon assessment, and so on and so forth. So agric is quite significant, but there are others that we do.
I'll come back to ask you about the agric sector. Just one question. Then we'll move to the fund and why you've taken upon yourself this initiative. The last time, I mean, you had a report out on what was causing so much carnage on our roads.
Yes.
Yes. And are you able to update us
on
it? And then whether the findings and recommendations have resulted in improvements in the accident rate? Because from what we are seeing, every day it goes up.
Yeah, that is one of the key objectives, activities that the Building and Road Research does. You know, we have the National Accident Database. And what we do is that our scientists in the institute, they pick up all the data across the country, and we are able to model to determine, based on the data, the historical records, which areas in Ghana have the high probability of causing accidents, which areas. And then we will go there and determine what are the likely causes of those. And then we will supply the information to contractors, architectural design, and all those, roads and highways and all that. Yeah.
So the construction of the road is a major factor.
It could be. I mean, if there's a water body, there's a sharp curve. You know, I am not a civil engineer building, but common sense would tell you that if a road is not constructed properly, it has a potential to cause us. Even knowing where to put, let's say, zebra crossing, is part of the science or the engineering of roads.
But you can also rule out the human factor.
Of course.
The kind of vehicles we have on our roads.
Of course, it's all part of it. It's a package. So we do our part. The Building and Road Research Institute, we do our part, and then we provide the data, and it supports. The police are involved, the MTTD, the feeder roads, and everybody is involved.
And you follow up to check if your recommendations are being implemented?
We do, because the nature of research is that you get the data, you prefer the suggestions and all that, and there may be the next time you hear that maybe the accident wasn't at that same spot, but somewhere close to it. Then you go back and you say, oh, maybe we missed that part of the data. Then you go back and you check and you improve upon it. So we do, yeah. Okay.
So briefly on the agri sector, and then we'll come to the endowment fund. I mean, I'm sure you've also been following the media reports about high prices of, food items on the market. And because you do a lot of work in the sector, I mean, how do you explain this?
Okay. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, all right.
Okay. So the first fundamental thing is that in Ghana here, our agric is largely rain-fed. So we know that we start, most of our farmers, especially in the forest region, they start clearing February, March, April, then we plant in April, and then June, July harvesting. And so because of that, during the dry season, most places where we want to have abundance of food year-round, that we should do irrigation. It's because we don't have this irrigation, our cropping and our food systems, part of it is that it's become seasonal. So you watch, I'm sure we all know, by August, September, there's so much food. Unfortunately, we might be discarding food, we might be throwing food away.
Because our storage facilities
That's right. So it's all part of it. It's all part of it, yeah.
Professor, now let's come to the endowment fund. Why has it become necessary? Is it because government has refused to fund you? Now you are going out and asking people to help?
Well, generally, in general terms, in science and development activity, there are various sources of funding. You have some coming from government, you have some coming from donor agencies, some coming from private sector, and some come from philanthropists. Now, in Ghana, most of these areas of funding sources are really very limited because you are not getting funding from philanthropists, you are not getting from private sector.
Why so?
It's because the business is a little bit tight. Business a little bit tight in the country, and also the culture of research in order to find solutions is also a little bit limited. And then the other source we may think is also the government. Now, as Director General said, the government provides our salary, he does some goods and services, but even though they have plans for funding research and development, that fund is not coming through. So because of that, we need to make sure as an institution that we need to carry out our research to meet our mandate. And what we need then is the financing. So because of that, we need to make sure, in fact, it's actually one of the vision of the Director General, so that we have made strides, but we need to move beyond where we are now. And for us to move to the targets that we want to go, we need finances, financial resources to push our research and development.
But Director General, I mean, for example, in terms of budgetary allocation, how much was proposed for you in the budget? How much has been released? And is it a case that is woefully inadequate for you to carry out your mandate?
Okay. So first of all, I don't have the figures in my mind, but what I know for sure is that our salaries, we receive them 100%, whatever it is, whether it's small enough or more than that one, no problem. It is the money that we need for what is usually classified as goods and services, which would also include the money that we actually need for our operations and also CAPEX, maybe acquire equipment, vehicles, and all. Those ones are a challenge for government. I don't think we are even getting 5% of those that we submit to government year on, year out. So you can imagine, not
even 5%, no, almost like zero.
Yeah.
Then how are you operating?
Yeah, so that's where IGF comes in. So, in 1996, our act was amended to allow us to commercialize research, which we do, and which, thankfully, we are able to generate some funds. But let me borrow you woefully inadequate, because the payment of utility bills alone and fuel and maintenance of equipment and all that, besides the actual money that should go into the research, the travel, the experiments. So we really need, but let me quickly add that we are creating this endowment fund because we need support, we need sustainable funding. But from what we know globally, the practice is that even the most endowed institutions,
they still ask for more.
They have endowment. We are not, our case is not asking for more in the sense like we have more already. No, we don't. But what I'm saying is that most of the institutions, they have endowment fund. To touch on what Prof was saying, we don't have a culture where people will support, research. In other cultures, people would support research, people would support academic institutions and all that. We think that this perhaps is a springboard to conscientize our people. Industry, there are places where industry actually pumps in money into research. They support training of scientists, they buy equipment, they push in cash to support, and then research in turn will then support industry. That is what we are calling for.
But the question is, if, for example, government budget to give you 100 million cedis for a year, and then only 5% is released to you, it brings the question, the value government place on the work you do.
you are saying that. I mean, it's true. Yeah, I'm just saying that that is the challenge that we have. You know, government should open its eyes and pay attention to research. It's not...
Because without it, I'm failing to see how we'll be able to solve the problems we have.
Exactly. You know, we are in a system where we want, I put in 100 million, and then next month I'm seeing bountiful results. But research is not like that. I once heard somebody who said that the research of today is for tomorrow's product, because it takes time. Maybe take some months, may take some years. But the countries that have gone ahead, if you would permit me, let me illustrate something. You know, we are all using microwave ovens in our homes, even Pampers. My understanding is that these were developed in the 60s for the space programs, you know. So for a long time, even cell phone and computers, they were there so many years ago. And then they were used under controlled environment, and now the public, the rest of the world, we are enjoying it. But at that time, it was for research, it was for high-tech research, technological development. So there are a lot of things that we are doing or we may be doing today that may not necessarily show that it's, you know, you can clearly show that this is the outcome. But then maybe 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, we would all see the benefit. Think of secondary school photosynthesis, you know, water plus carbon dioxide and sunlight, in the presence of sunlight, producing, for you to answer, producing starch. Now we are talking about carbon sequestration. Of course. And that is the equation that we have known years ago. You know, so support the system, and then we can, yeah.
So I'm just reading through and I'm asking myself, so in the absence of your IGF, then it will be difficult for you to make any meaningful progress.
Talk about donor.
No, well, there's also, you know, when I was saying the streams of finance, the other aspect is also donor. But the donor is now very much, competition is very high. Because if donor put a call, it's open to the entire world. Of course. So everybody,
so you have to write a very convincing proposal.
Very compete. And also, some of them has caveat. So even the main source is going to be the people from their country. And there are some they put out, it's limited to your country. So the other sources are very much limited. So we also have streams of finances through the donor funded project. But now there are certain specific things that are more of country oriented. For instance, there are technologies that CSIR have developed over the years. With this technology, we need to do the transfer of these technologies. And it doesn't just happen. You need finance, even if you are not going to charge anything at all. People still need to move to the place. There are some people who really need the technology, but they don't have the financial basis. So that is why we want to carry this to them, because we want to enhance the use of these technologies for the development, in fact, on communities. In fact, we have in our mind in a situation where we have enough funding, I can say that community A is deprived of A, B, and C. Can we deploy some of CSIR technologies to turn around the plight and the future of these communities? So these are some of the things that we are looking for to do. What about industry? We need also to help industry. So we need the finances. We need to develop new technologies we have the expertise we can develop. The technologies are already there. We need to transfer. And that is why we need this money to support. So that the poor, the women, the young people, that's what we call the social inclusion, can also be supported to enrich themselves. So all this is to support wealth creation by people in this country.
That's General. So I mean, this $20 million, and your strategy is to say charity begins at home. So for your workforce, everybody will contribute 1% of their monthly salary to this endowment fund. So what is it you propose, and all of them accepted, or you impose it on them?
No. It's not an imposition. The first thing we did was that we've been talking about this for at least over a year. You know, I was appointed Director General in 2022. And one of the things that I did was to go around all the institutes to share my vision. And so it was there that we are going to create an endowment fund. Before that, a year or two before, we launched a strategic plan. It was also there. So when we decided to take off, we had this committee with the director here being the chairman. We went around all the 13 institutes plus the head office. We sensitized staff. And then we told them that this one is not compulsory.
It's voluntary.
It's voluntary.
So if you don't want to contribute,
if you don't want to contribute, no. And so, but it was amazing. The feedback was massive. You know, everybody, I would say almost everybody was saying that this is long overdue. And then some were even saying maybe even 2%. Some made suggestions. And so we know that...
Your workers must be very rich.
No, they believe in what they are doing. They believe in the vision. They believe in science. And they know that they can trust that when they give us the money...
You put it to good
yes. And we told them, there was one thing we told them. We told them that in every family, in every country, in every institution, somebody has to pay the price. Somebody has to sacrifice. So this kind of statement went into them. So they all realized that they have to make sacrifices. And so that is where we are working for. So to make sure that nobody thinks that we have developed a consent form where each individual staff member would pick it, fill it, and sign, and indicate. We've set it at 1%. We get 2% and 5%. Yeah, stop. But you do the 1%, and then you indicate we have set 5 years as our target. If you want to do 3 months, 5, right, we don't mind. If you want to do 1 year, if you want to do 10 years, you know. So we've made it, we've opened it up, but still, people, and that's one option. We'll have another option where we are asking people to make voluntary contributions into the fund, and some people are doing that. We have decided that each institute would contribute a certain percentage of their net IGF into the fund, and directors have agreed to do that. We've asked scientists who get big donor projects. Sometimes they have allowances on the project. We have told them, and they have given us their word that all is voluntary, except perhaps the institute one where directors have control. So that is, we want Ghanaians and the rest of the world to know that we are not only saying things, but we believe in what we are saying.
And then the money that will go into the fund,
yes.
Would that money be used for?
Yes, you want to?
Yes.
Okay, so as we said, the money, once we get this money, some of the most important thing is to develop technology, and it's going to be demand-driven technologies to support industries.
Right.
And in fact, that is why some of the time we are asking that the industry should come also our way to support it. So we look at the challenges within the industry, we develop a technology, and we'll help that.
And these are likely research that you will sell.
No, we are not going to sell. We are not selling at all.
We have some that will transfer also.
Some is transfer. Yeah. So that is why I would say help us and let's help Mother Ghana.
Okay.
So these are some, and then also want to establish incubation hubs, scientific incubation hubs. So we set this in various institutes. So then people who have business ideas, who need the technologies in order to enhance their businesses, they will come to this place. We are going to train them, provide all the resources that they provide, all the knowledge, all the technology they need in order to set up their businesses. Okay, also we want to look at communities, as I said. We want to look at developmental projects that will help change, enhance the living of communities, and if possible, turn around the fortunes of communities. We also have some that we're going to use in terms of helping develop, science, capacity building of some of our scientists and even administrators, so that we can develop their capacity in specific areas that will enhance the progress of the CSIR. Right. And sometimes there are certain technologies and projects that have already been done but has been truncated. But we know that these are very impactful projects. So it will also support these projects so that it will help build the wealth creation and socioeconomic development of the country.
Let me give Director General the final word on this. So, I mean, we are looking at corporate Ghana, members of parliament, everybody to contribute to this fund. Is it going to be, you're going to call on them individually in their corporate offices, sell this idea to them and get them to contribute to this?
So that is one of them, calling on them too. But we are also, we have this from now till about the 5th of July, we have a lineup of activities. So one of it is what we did yesterday, where we launched the logo and then we launched the fund. And fortunately, thanks to multimedia, you've brought us here to talk about that. On the 26th, we are having a float in Accra to let Ghanaians, more of Ghanaians get to know of what we are doing. And then the first week of July, we're going to have a series of activities throughout the week. So we have a workshop, a seminar on the African Scientific Renaissance Day celebration. And we are doing that. We've invited the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. We are hoping he can make it. And so with that, and then we also have international organizations. Ghana, CSIR is a member of what we call the World Association of Technological Research Organizations. And they are coming here to have an annual board meeting. So they are going to help us talk about their experiences. And then from the 1st July to 3rd July, we are having an exhibition at CSIR Water Research Institute near Academy of Sciences. And we want to display all our technologies and products together with others. And one of the things that we will be doing that I think the public should know is that we want to offer some of our technologies that we have developed to the public. We're going to train them. So if you want to know more about, for example, snail farming, you can come there, and we have officers there who will explain. If you want to know about mushroom farming or aquaculture. So from 1st to 3rd July, we have opened up. And then on the 5th of July, which is a Friday evening, we have a fundraising dinner. And I'm inviting you specially to that dinner. So fundraising dinner at Labadi Beach Hotel to raise funds. But then, that is the launch. Like you said, we'll be visiting companies, parliamentarians and everybody to ask them to support.
All right, Director General of the CSIR, that's the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research. Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. And of course, the chairman of the planning committee, Professor Michael Say. Thank you so much for passing through, and we support this initiative, because research, of course, that's the only way we can solve societal issues. Without it, then we are just, developing blindly. All right, so folks, that's our discussion on the CSIR.